Hey everyone. So I was going to do this video originally, just something off the top of my head, but one of the other viewers, I think her name's Denise Extum, she left a comment, and I think that this is very important because it's something that I've struggled with personally, and I feel like there needs to be more known about that. I have a monitor over here, so that's why I'm looking over here. But I'll try and stare at the camera now. So the main thing that I want to focus on in this video is the power of no, and I've talked about it before. And to me, when someone gives me a no during a reading, there tends to be this sense of like, tightening up would be one way of putting it, but clenching and hoping that you would die would be the other way of putting it, because it feels embarrassing, it feels just wrong, and it feels you feel invaded, for lack of a better word, at least for me. And so something that I feel like has helped me, because I'm starting up again, is that we can use no as, okay, that sucks, I should always be 100% right. Or we can use no as a way of saying, as a way of showing the person, our client that we're doing our reading with, showing them that we're actively listening. I've had some psychics do readings, and I've heard of other psychics doing readings, where they just talk nonstop. They say probably 10 or 20 things, and then after they say it, they'll say, does that make sense to you? And because the person only has an hour to get a reading from this psychic, in a lot of ways it's hard for them to pinpoint what the person got right or what the person got wrong. Hold on. And because of that, there tends to be this kind of really fast-paced, like, I need to give you a reading, you need to get a reading. Like, there tends to be this energy of, like, it just feels very rushed. And so what I want to do is, with the power of no, we can focus on, number one, that we're listening to the client. And number two, that we can allow ourselves to relax more. We can deepen the connection more, because sometimes ego or mindless chatter comes in. How do you get to a point where mindless chatter doesn't bother you? That's the key right there. You'll eventually get there, but you have to understand what actual psychic information looks like versus what ego chatter, restless monkey mind looks like. And for me personally, how it happens is, if I'm getting information and it's flowing very easily, generally that means it's from spirit, or it's a psychic connection. If, however, I'm getting information and it kind of comes in spurts, it allows my mind to start thinking of things, and then I can start saying things that don't necessarily make a lot of sense. But an ability that's showing up in more and more psychics and mediums now, and I remember hearing Mavis Patilla talk about this. You can look her up, Mavis Patilla. She's a very, she's an older and more respected medium in the field, and she said that when she was growing up, claircognizance wasn't exactly a thing. I could be misquoting, but she said that psychics now are having these new abilities, the claircognizance, and that's where information is just directly in your head and you say it. And a lot of people will have it happen in instances they're not even psychics, they're not exercising that ability, but they just know. And that's how it happened with me. That's how it happens with a lot of other people. You just know certain information. How do you know it? You don't see it, you don't hear it, you don't feel it, you don't smell it. It's just like a knowing. And that's what the claircognizance means, is a clear knowing. And for me, that's how a lot of my reading is done. Generally for people nowadays, we usually can develop clairvoyance, where we get information from images or pictures or like a video that's kind of playing. And we look at those details, and as we zoom in on those details, we can sort of get a bigger picture, kind of like zooming in on a photo, and we can like look at all the details around that photo. But when we don't know what we're doing and we're first starting out, there tends to be a lot of doubt, especially if we were raised in an environment where self-esteem was an issue. So that becomes a pretty big problem. But the main thing is that no matter how you interpret this information, because a lot of psychics do it differently, we're focusing on trying to give information to someone, and if it's coming to you easily, then that means that more than likely it's accurate. if you have to reach for it, if you have to stretch for it, it's probably not accurate, because this happens effortlessly. This happens in a way where we let go and we relax. In mediumship, mediumship, that's especially true, because the spirit has to come in, and as they're coming in, if we're in a more passive state, we're able to give information. That being said, the way that spirit works, I'm kind of rambling, guys, but a lot of the ways that spirit works is through information that you already have access to. So for instance, let's say you're someone who's really into trains, right? Or let me pick a better example, because that seems very obscure. Okay, let's say you're someone who's into the tarot, okay? The tarot is really good because it has a ton of meaning and a ton of symbols in it. But what if you're doing a reading and you see the Three of Swords in your mind's eye? You know what that meaning is, right? And spirit will tell you that that meaning is probably someone's brokenhearted, someone's not feeling the best. And because of those symbols, and because it's something you've already learned, it makes it easier for you to kind of relay that information, if that makes sense. Let me give you a better example. My monitor died over here, so I got a little distracted. Spirit is going to use what you already know to relay a message. So generally, if I'm someone who's really into tarot, Spirit can come to me and give me messages through tarot cards, or they can give me messages through horoscope meanings, or they can give me messages through, maybe I'm really into fitness, and they can give me messages through fitness-based means. They can show me certain things. One medium, his name was Albert, I think it was Albert Best, right? To have the name Best, the last name Best would be either really good or really bad. I haven't decided. But he was able to give addresses to people. He was a postmaster, so he understood how that stuff worked. He understood how addresses worked, and he understood them intimately. So when Spirit would give him details to give to other people, it would be through a way of saying, okay, well, the person that passed away lived at this address. Because he was receptive and open to give that kind of information and to be very accurate, he could do that. But he could also tell how people were related in the audience, and he could even tell that this person was related to this person right here, and Spirit could communicate to him that way. So it's all about how you perceive things, what your special interests are, and stuff like that. Spirit's going to come through. But back to the power of no. I go on these ramblings. It's not a bad thing. I'm starting out again because I've had those no questions. I did a reading not the other day, but I did a reading probably 8 or 9 months ago. And when I started out doing the reading, I kept getting no. I probably got no as an answer 5 times in a row. And we started the reading, we were texting. I was really nervous. I didn't want to do a phone call, so we were just texting instead. And this was a paid reading, and I was nervous doing this because mediumship isn't something I've practiced. I've done psychic readings. I've done other things, but practicing mediumship in exchange for money was something I wasn't really comfortable doing, but I decided to try it out and give her money back if for some reason I wasn't able to connect. So going in with that attitude, I was like, okay. So then I start messaging her and trying to get answers, and at first it's kind of going well because I'm just text messaging her and I'm giving information that I'm seeing, and it started going well, and then I'm like, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna call her, we're gonna go from there. And so I called her, and I was feeling pretty confident. I was feeling like, you know what, I'm doing okay. And when I call her and I start asking questions and I start going into different avenues and I start trying to channel Spirit more and more, I just keep getting no, and I keep getting shut down. And every no, just, oh man, it hurt. It really did, and it wasn't comfortable at all. But I survived, and it's something that you kind of have to get a thick skin for it. No matter who you are as a psychic or a medium, know is a very powerful tool. We can always further advance ourselves, and know is a way for us to keep going. The reading, in case you're wondering, it did end up going well, thankfully. But sometimes you just have to let yourself, like, if you get the wrong answers and you realize that that's as bad as it's going to get, because most people that you talk to, you got to be thinking in this way. Most people that are wanting a psychic reading, or most people that are wanting a mediumistic reading, they're not going to be narcissistic people. They're not going to be mean people. They're going to be people that want answers to their questions. And as long as you treat them with respect, even if you feel like you're batting 0 for 100, as long as you're treating them with respect and they're treating you with respect, and there's that mutual kind of respect, even if you get wrong answers, it doesn't matter. And more than likely, the stuff that you do get right after you get the wrong answers, it tends to they tend to wash over and view the stuff that you only got right anyway. But and it's all about learning. If we don't put ourselves out there, we can't grow, we can't learn. For anyone else, it doesn't, if you're doing art, for instance, which I've been practicing. It's just digital art, but it's something I've been practicing. At first, I could barely do anything, and now I'm pretty confident in my skills to do at least some stuff. But I had to make stuff that was kind of uncomfortable to make. I had to make stuff that I didn't know what I was doing, and I had to learn that kind of thing. And they say for writers it's the same thing. How do writers keep writing every day? They say they just sit down and they just let the words come out. And someone else said something along the lines of, for writing, which relates to mediumship, which relates to all skills, he said, in this pencil, there's 1 million wrong words. And my job is to try and get those wrong words out so that the good ones can come through. And to me, I like that. I like the way that that's expressed, because there's so much that we need to get through, that we need to come through for. But every time we get something wrong, as long as we don't get up, we're closer to being on the right path. I know it sounds contradictory, but as long as we're honest with ourselves and why we're doing mediumship or psychic readings for the reasons we're doing them, there's nothing wrong with getting something wrong. It's evolution. It's how we grow as people. But yeah, I know I rambled there for a minute, but that's something that's the most frustrating thing, and I've fallen into it as well, is that you get in this kind of way of thinking of like, I cannot get something wrong. If I get something wrong, then it's like I'm naked, I'm in the middle of town, and everyone's looking at me. And I'll let you know, as fun as that would be, not my thing, but to each their own. It's just it's hard to be vulnerable. I get that. But the whole part of being psychic, of being a medium, is that you are vulnerable. And it's not a bad thing. Vulnerability is beautiful. Vulnerability allows us to really grow and really understand who we are as people, and it accelerates our soul's power. But it's a double-edged sword, because you'll get people that don't exactly understand you. That's okay. If someone doesn't understand you, you're not meant for that person. That's just how it is. But when we come from the heart, when we come from the soul, even if we get something wrong, again, if the intention is there, if we want to help that person, getting something wrong and feeling that kind of pain, it's more ego than anything else. We want to get it right, because getting it right feels good. Hearing someone say yes feels good. It feels like we're on the right track. Hearing someone say no makes us think, oh, maybe I shouldn't be a medium. And that to me is something that it can be worked through. But you have to focus on why you're doing it. What's the reason you want to do mediumship? If it's to be right all the time, I would say look into that, because that's not why we're doing it. But if it's genuinely to help people, if it's to show people that there's life after death if you're a medium, or if it's to show people that their story is valid and that they're valid people, like if you're a psychic, and psychics and mediums they're similar in a lot of ways, but there's some differences. But if it's to show people that they're valid, or if it's to show people that their loved one continues after death, then you're doing it for the right reasons. And you're giving them valuable insight, and you're letting people know that they're cared for and that there's people on the other side. But if you're doing it for any other reason, if you're doing it to be famous, if you're doing it to do anything like that, or to manipulate the system, or to make a lot of money, or do any of that, then it's going to be a lot more difficult for you moving forward, in my opinion. Because honestly, to me, this is a very heart-based service. This isn't something that just anyone can do. The people that are going forward and the people that are truly trying their hardest have very, very gentle souls. And it makes it hard for us to stand up, and it makes it hard for us to do these things because we had issues happen in our childhoods, or needs that weren't met, and it makes it difficult for us to focus on how to be confident, how to do all that. But now, in this day and age, there's a lot of books that we can read, there's a lot of ways that we can learn, and there's tons of things that we can do better, both as people, as psychics, as mediums. But this, to me, is a huge thing. Okay, the power of no is such a huge thing. Once we harness that and we realize we can actually use each imperfection to further our growth. Okay, I want you to imagine this. Okay, and I love these analogies. I have a few of them, but this one is every imperfection that we have, that we view, like, so every time we hear a no, I want you to imagine that that's fertilizer on our psychic or our mediumship garden. Every time we hear no, we use that as fuel for our growth, and we try to understand ourselves better, and we focus on how we treated that person. Do we want to improve? Yes, we want to improve, but we don't improve by, let's say the reading's over and it was a quote-unquote bad reading, right? We don't sit there and berate ourselves and say everything we got wrong and just say that we're, worthless, we can't do it, why am I doing this, all that kind of stuff, because that doesn't help us grow. Instead, we focus on what we got right, we focus on what we got wrong, and we focus on how we can be gentle with ourselves and how we can keep improving. Our higher selves don't operate on ego. That's kind of our self-esteem or our psychological issues coming into the play. If we're berating ourselves, if we're treating ourselves like we're not good enough, then that's something we need to work on, and we need to keep growing in that way. So that's it, you guys. It's kind of rambly, I know, and it's kind of a longer video. I need to get better with structure. I actually have a video coming out that will be more structured, and I should hopefully have a better microphone before too long as well. So yeah, I just thought I'd let you guys know that you guys are doing the right thing, you're on the right path, and I really appreciate you guys for watching my videos, and I'm going to keep trying to make content for you guys and keep going forward. If you guys want to chat with me, or you guys are wanting a reading, or anything of that nature, just let me know in the comments. My website, I'm probably going to be making another website and going from there eventually, but for now, you can email, well, I'll put my email in the description if you guys are interested in doing a reading, or an energy healing, or some astral projection work, or anything of that nature. Okay, you guys just let me know. And yeah, you guys take care, and I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Bye.